I've got a. It's exciting. This is going out to people watching in Mexico, isn't it? Do you not find that exciting?
Very exciting.
Have you ever been to Mexico?
No.
I recommend Mexico City. I went
I
there
love
because
Mexican food.
Oh, do you like Mexican movies? Have you ever seen any El Santo movies, the
No.
great wrestling films of the 60s?
Yes. I saw one with you.
I recommend. I think it was El Santo contra los zombies.
It was really badly shot, but fun.
Don't say that. We're speaking to people in Mexico.
No, it was great, but it was.
Okay.
No, that's for me. That's a compliment. If the film's badly shot but still good,
Then
it's better
good.
than
Okay.
a bad film. well
Let's not
shot.
talk about Guy Ritchie's movies right now, okay? Let's just stick to this. And
No
so,
comment. Go on.
City Premiere Mexico. Someone I said, sorry, I don't have the name. How do you go from doing something like Stardust to something badass like Kick-Ass?
It's a story. You know, I'm a big believer good directors should be able to tell any story, and actually Stardust was, I really did it more for my kids, and you know, I had to think a lot more when I did Stardust. I was a little bit outside of my comfort zone. This is far more the sort of movie I want to go watch, so it's easier to make a movie if you're imagining you're in the audience.
Now, that's interesting to me because if you're making a movie that you don't feel as comfortable with or isn't for you as such,
Yeah.
that must be harder. It must have been harder for you to make Stardust. It must have been harder for you to make the decisions.
Oh
about what-
yeah, I had to. As I said, I had to. In Kick-Ass, I was never thinking in the sense I was just doing. Stardust, I was thinking a hell of a lot and just trying to get that balance right. And I don't really like romantic comedies, and it sort of had a much more romance and comedy in it than I thought it would have. So it was a bit of a battle for me.
And it wasn't as big a hit as perhaps you'd liked. I know it was a hit.
A hit in internationally,
Yeah.
but not in the
But,
US.
but I know it's one of those movies which certainly people always seem to talk about to me because they know Jane's involved and
Yeah.
they know I know you. But certainly it's got that kind of. Do you think that it wasn't sold correctly, it wasn't marketed properly, or do you think that maybe it wasn't the movie that you would like it to have been? It wasn't the movie it should have been. What would you?
No, I think it was the movie that I wanted it to be, but it was hard to get it to be like that. And I think it was the humour in it was very British, and it was in America. It was definitely sold wrong. They tried to make it like a big fancy adventure film, and it really was more of a sort of a quirky romantic comedy with a fantasy element.
But the posters in America are weird. I remember seeing. I don't know if anyone remembers. There were these posters. It made it look like it was a weird love triangle between Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Ricky Gervais. Wearing a kind of a tinker's hat. It was a very odd.
Right.
I don't know who the niche audience they were going for there is, but I hope I never meet them.
So I don't want to meet them again.
Yeah. Okay. But would you do more of those kind of movies?
What, a fantasy romantic?
Yeah, more fantasy because you know it was a.
I doubt it.
You wouldn't want to go there.
No, I would.
You're more of an action kind of guy yourself for movies, aren't
I'd
you?
like to do like a spy or a sci-fi. I think we haven't had a good sci-fi. I think District 9 was the first decent sci-fi we've had in a long time.
Well, and they've set the bar pretty high there. That's
Yeah.
going to be a hard one to follow. Okay, Facebook UK, Zach Reed. Hello, Zach. Thanks for joining in today. What was your favourite superhero when you would have been the same age as Kick-Ass? So I guess as Dave, is it Lewinsky?
Batman.
Lewinsky? So Batman you would have
I'm
been.
not going to answer that side of it. But
Batman.
Lewinsky.
Lewinsky.
Luzuski.
Anyway, Dave, who's Kick-Ass.
Batman by a mile. Batman was the guy you wanted to be.
Is he meant to be 15 in the movie? About 15, 14?
No, he's 17.
He's 17. Because in the comic, he's drawn really young. I mean, I guess that's the stylistic, that's the flourishes that Ramita Jr.'s put in. But so he's 17.
But in the film, he's 17. I think he's 17 in the comic as well. It's just
So when you were 17, it would have been Batman. Batman year one.
Batman.
Yeah,
Full.
okay.
Come on, Batman. But also, you can imagine being Batman. It's hard to imagine being Spider-Man.
Well,
you probably could, but I
always wanted to be Spider-Man, but I was lean. I was very supple as a child.
lots of gooey things coming out of you every day. So
Thank you.
impulsively.
On a personal note, the Big Daddy suit, the
Yes.
outfit, have you got that?
Somewhere.
Can I borrow it for this year's San Diego Comic Con, please?
Well, I asked you to wear a suit last night and you refused.
I was wearing one under my regular clothes.
Yeah.
The Times, Chris McQueen has joined us from Times Online to ask you, how do you feel about the UK film industry at the moment? Well, that's a broad question.
Okay. I think the UK film industry is the most paradoxical industry we have. We are literally world-class leaders in making movies, but we don't have a film industry. So, you know, if we had self-financed the Bond, you know, we did Bond and Potter, the two biggest franchises of all time, yet we can't get films off the ground in England. So we should stop being service providers and we should just build an industry where we have the best writers, the best directors, the best crew, actors.
Can I interrupt there for the question? Because this is what I want to ask you. Why is it, though, that so many British directors and producers seem to want to make movies which you know are not commercial films? I mean, they seem to want to make films which are art house movies, which are...
Well, no, they're the people that can't get work in America.
But why is that the case? Because, you know, in my period as a critic, obviously I used to see most films that were released here, and the majority of British ones would be sort of gritty slice of life. There weren't that many British horror movies. There weren't that many British action movies.
Yeah, but we have no money. So,
but you found money for it.
I did eventually. Well, I did because I just thought everyone was being sort of lazy and stupid about it. But the problem is, I think just if you're going to do a film outside of Hollywood, doesn't mean it can be I think most people think, well, we're not going to do a movie with Hollywood, so we're going to do something uncommercial and different. Which that's the problem about the British film industry. We should have financed Bond and Potter. And if we did that, the billions of dollars that would have generated, we can then do a few. I think you need the Ken Loach and Mike Leigh movies, but we could do it all.
So what's
here.
missing then? Because the money's there. I mean, people can find that.
No, the money's there.
Are you sure? But what about the money that we get from lottery to fund smaller movies?
20% of the budget.
Okay.
And you know, before the lottery had the lotteries, they used to know how they used to pick a film. They said, "We'll only give you money if nobody else will." So you know, you had to prove that you couldn't raise the money from anywhere else.
So half the movies I had to watch over the last 10 years.
They would only finance the films that should have never been made.
That can't have seemed like a good idea to them even at the time, can it?
Well, I don't know who makes these plans, but they don't seem to do the plans.
Okay, let me ask a follow-up question from that, if I may. Is there hope for it though? If you had a hard time raising money yourself for this, and you're pretty well connected, and you've made successful movies, so they're going to trust you.
Well, I raised money outside of the film industry.
So what's the answer going to be if we are going to try and develop back into a world-class production base for UK owned produced finance films?
I think Kick-Ass will help because it will show all that money coming back to England if it's a hit. And I'm talking to people at the moment. It's just giving people the confidence and to make. I think one of the other problems is that movie stars and A-list directors can be quite greedy. So it's saying to them, look, stop asking for the 20 million up front. Do it for 5 million. It's still a good payday.
Still a great pay, and you defer it, and maybe
have a piece of the real piece of the back end, and just create a British film industry. We could have, I think, the biggest film industry in the world within 3 years.
There seems to be a will, though, because the government introduced various tax breaks. I know many of which seem to have been misused by people just trying to invest and avoid paying what they should. But certainly there seems to be a will within, you know, the government, the tax setup, the kind of inclination to make it easier to make films.
I think the tax thing is helpful, but if a good industry should be able to work without subsidies. But hey, I'll take them if we can get them. But Hollywood doesn't have tax subsidies, but they do go around the world plundering everyone else who does have them.
Yeah. So you think the chance of us returning to some kind of the basis of having a good kind of an actual infrastructure that works, that's a possibility of the next.
We've got Pinewood Studio, we've got movie studios at work. There's no reason. The only thing we haven't got is the money, and we have got the money. We just have to. The government should have put a couple of billion into the film industry instead of some bank that was run badly.
Well, people, you could have a word.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Now, Paul Slattery of The Times. Hello, Paul. How hard was it, everyone? This is a great question, I think. How hard was it for everyone on set to keep a straight face when filming Nicolas Cage's Big Daddy scenes?
Do you know what? I think it wasn't hard. Most of the crew were thinking he was ruining the scene, so it was more like trying to stop them from crying. But I thought it was harder to keep straight faces with stuff that Chloe was doing more than because what Nick was doing. He was doing such a great performance that even when he was doing the Adam West stuff, it felt very real.
We should explain, because a lot of people won't have seen the film yet, and I know they're all dying to, but he delivers his lines, and it's a kind of a stilted, with a strange stress on certain words, rather like the Adam West Batman, of course.
Well, we thought, because of the Christian Bale, dark, growly, weird thing he does. But
kind of like he had some sort of folk complaint.
Exactly. Yeah, so we decided it made sense. If you're going to put on a mask, you'd hide your voice. And then it was all Nick's idea. It was like thinking, look, he's a freak, he's dressing up as superheroes and he loves them. Yeah. And he'd probably think Adam's West voice was the voice of the day.